Good evening, people. Energized coach coming at you. I'm going to talk to you about some concerns I have about some of the things that are going on with, I guess, these frequencies that we receive for our cell phones as well as to our meters, our electric meters. They're called smart meters. So people are aware of them, then they denied them, and they went back to an analog style of meter. But if you have a smart meter in your house, I'm going to give you some information to maybe help you understand and what it is that you need to know about what it is that these smart meters are doing. But before I get into the aspect of the smart meter, I wanted to talk about this prospect of 5G frequency, 5G, meaning fifth generation. We've gone through the first generation where we were just talking on our cell phones and text messaging, and then of course, I believe second generation, the 2G gave us the text messaging. Then 3G, we were able to use the internet, but we couldn't use our phone. We're using the internet now. We're at 4G, where we can do the internet and talk and text all at the same time because of the technology that exists for us to do so. But with this understanding and all of the issues that are taking place, we have to be mindful of what is going on or what's happening to us as this technology grows and increases, and so we can get an understanding of what it is that it is happening to us as a people, as what is happening to us as a planet, what is happening to the plant life, what is happening to insects and animals and things around us that not only that we live or cohabitate with on this planet, but some that we actually consume or need to be able to help plants grow. For example, the bees that pollinate so that we can have the fruits and the vegetables and all the other things that we get from the work that they do. So first I want to start talking about, say, again, with the prospect of 5G, if you're concerned with whether or not 5G technology is being used, newsflash, yes it is. It's being used right now. And not where it's something that's unfamiliar, but if you've never taken a look at your electric meter, that's called a smart meter, and wonder, well, I know when I was growing up, the meters had this little odometer looking device inside where the numbers would change. It had that wheel that was spinning around. And I was always looked at it in fascination. It's like, wow. So this just shows and demonstrates the amount of electricity that we're using at our house. Well, now they're using something called a smart meter. It's not something that you're familiar with. If you ever get a chance, you want to go outside your house, you may want to go out and take a look at it and see what it's looked at. It's probably going to have the name Centron. You can barely see it on there, but it's a company that produces these meters, and of course they have these meters all across the nation, and people are fighting to get them removed. And if you want to get them removed, your electric company will probably have you pay something called an opt-out fee to have it removed and replace it with that analog type, where someone will actually have to come out and read it. Now, the smart meter may be good in the sense where you don't have to have someone, if you have property, that you got to let someone in your property to come in and look at your meter, or, and I hope this is not the case, you have the meter inside the house. It could be a problem. The reason why this meter uses 5G technology. And the problem with this is what's happening is they're sending signals to a satellite out in space that essentially is such a high frequency rate that it's likened that if you're close to it, you will literally be like standing in a microwave because of the frequency that is going to and from this meter. That's why a lot of people are looking to get rid of it. Now, I'm also going to put a link to a YouTube video that I viewed. It's about an hour and a half, but I couldn't stop watching it because of the information that it had on there in regards to the things that they can do with this technology of this smart meter that they have attached to the side of your house or to your electric service, so they can see how much electric service they're using. Because it's not just checking the electric service. A part of what it is that they can do with this meter is they can know everything that's going on with your life. When you turn on and off a light switch, how often your refrigerator is running, when you go into your refrigerator, when you are going to bed at night, when you're going to use the bathroom to bathe, when you are on watching TV, when you are on your computer, everything. Now, I could give you a whole lot of information. I can continue, but I'm not making this up. And if you want to challenge this information or challenge me, which I hope that you do, I'm gonna leave a link to this video in the description so that you can go to it yourself. Now, it's an hour and 27-minute video, and I'll probably that if you have enough time to watch the whole thing. I mean, sometimes you can watch it in parts, but you'll be surprised. I mean, one of the disturbing things that was sad to me as I was watching the video, there was a mother, she must have either lived in San Diego or she had her son was going to University of San Diego. And he called her and told her that he was projectile vomiting, and she told him to go direct to the hospital. When he gets to the hospital, comes to find out he has brain cancer. He gets the surgery to get, I guess, help relieve him of his cancer, but shortly, I guess not too long after that, he died. And then the mother, trying to figure out or find out how in the world did her son get this cancer, she did some research and found out at this university in San Diego. I think it's San Diego University, I'm not sure, but if you look at the video, you'll see that there are people around that same time that were dying. And the reason why, there's a cell tower that's outside of the building where they lived and where they were sleeping, and that somehow that electromagnetic waves from those cell towers impacted their brain that gave them brain cancer that ultimately led to their death, which is, I think, is very sad. There are some people who have their meters, depending on the type of house or how the house is designed, where the meter is right outside their bedroom, and they are feeling sick. And there's some illnesses and things that you can get from that. But I'm getting into that a little later. But I wanted to touch on several points in regards to the types of things that can happen to you when you're dealing with or understanding what's going on with this 5G. Now, I look at my house and I realize I have a smart meter outside my house. It's outside the kitchen window where my wife typically washes dishes, and sometimes I wash dishes. Now, there's sometimes some things that she may have illnesses or something like that. And I don't know if it has to come from things like, say, I don't know, the atmosphere outside or the changing the seasons or whatever the case may be. But nevertheless, whenever your loved ones get sick, you always want to know what's going on or what's happening. And as I was doing my research, trying to get a deeper understanding of this 5G, it kind of surprised me with some of the things that are going on. And although she may have said there's some symptoms that even myself have, I reflect on something that yesterday I'm teaching 8th grade math, and students were laughing. So, what's so funny? What are you laughing at? Not realizing that you can see me in this video, I have this little piece of hair that's sticking up, and somehow they found that rather amusing. Now, I did a video some time ago when I said that my locks are my antennas, and if you know what it is that can happen with electromagnetic frequency and waves, things happen to your skin when they're exposed to these radio frequencies, radioactive frequencies, that what it does to your skin, and kind of explain to you. So I'm going to kind of point out some things or what it is that occur and the kind of things that happen. Now, they haven't done a lot of studies or long-term studies because, again, it exists with these smart meters, which you probably have had some time. I know that I'm from Philadelphia, and I've seen something of the articles that they were talking about in this video that I was referring to. It's called Take Your Power Back. And Pico, I'm thinking, Pico? Wait a minute. I'm from Philadelphia. That's the name of the electric company that I used to pay my bills to when I was in Philadelphia had some articles about some challenges that people had against these smart meters, which uses 5G technology to speak and communicate with satellites that are in space. And so I'm thinking, okay, well, that's with the meter, and that's over here downstairs on the first floor. Our bedrooms are upstairs, and none of our bedrooms are nowhere near, so we don't sleep near the frequency. And so I'm thinking, okay, maybe we'll be okay, but not everyone's house designed the same. And I know, like, say, if this was a ranch style house and say a bed was right there where the electric meter is, it may pose as a problem. So if you sleep, or if your bedroom is positioned anywhere near where the electric meter is, you probably want to contact and maybe even pay that fee, because your life, it matters more than that smart meter being outside your house, to change that into an analog so that you won't get brain cancer. But some of the other things that occur, along with the prospect of potentially getting brain cancer from this 5G technology that exists and is being used to be able to regulate or to monitor the type of amount of electric that you use in your home, there's other things that occur as well. There's something that's created because of what happens in the atmosphere. Like, you probably have things going through your body right now as the cell service and the signals of Wi-Fi and your cell service is going through. But although it can potentially be dangerous, I mean, you could of course test it by using certain meters to determine how much frequency you have going on in your home. It is not to the level of what it is that you would have to deal with if you indeed we step up from 4G and to 5G. You may think, oh, well, hey, it's 5G, it's got to be better and it's got to be faster. Well, they've done the measurements, and the difference is in milliseconds. For example, it may take, say, 50 milliseconds for 4G to respond and 1 millisecond for 5G to respond. But you notice I'm saying milliseconds. How long is even a second? Now, if you, of course, as you would add that time up, it would add up. But are we really in that much of a rush to do these things? And if anything that needs to be done, does it really need to take that long for it to be done, that we now reduce it to we're concerned with how many milliseconds it takes for something to happen? I don't think so. No, I know I don't. I mean, if you do, then that's fine. But it's something to consider, that maybe you need to worry more about what the impact of having 5G technology is going to do to you, your health, and the environment around you, than worrying about having faster cell phone service because you have 5G. Okay, there's another concern, is the effect on the skin. Now, it is stated, and I also got some articles where I pulled some information from that I was doing some research on, that the skin is basically acts like an absorbing sponge, okay, for microwave radiation. Sweat ducts in the skin and upper layer act like helical antennas, which are specialized antennas constructed specifically to respond to electromagnetic fields. Again, we have electromagnetic fields around us. I don't know if any of you have ever had this condition. In fact, I'm dealing with it now. When you have the cell phone in your pocket and then your leg is feeling kind of strange. I know some time ago I used to, in fact, I have some of my pictures on my emails, you can still see it. I used to have the Bluetooth in my ear. And for whatever reason, this area around my head will feel strange after I'm using that device in my ear. I stopped using it, and now that issue that I have around here has gone away. So of course, it didn't take much for me to realize that device in my ear must not have been there, because now that I don't have it in my ear anymore, and I don't have that feeling around my ear, around my head and my ear area, something was not right. So apparently I must have been having some electromagnetic waves going through my head and in my brain, probably causing problems. So I'm so glad I don't do that anymore. And if you do that, I would encourage you that if you're having those feelings and it's got that feeling around your head where you have that device in your ear, maybe you should take it out and find a different way of communicating when you're talking on the phone. I mean, it's not any better than you actually putting the phone up to your ear, because, it still have that radiation still inside that phone. And sometimes it's even going through your head to get to your phone, and which is also not good. But you can just you're going to take it down periodically or hopefully sometimes, because you don't want to have the phone stuck to you, because who has the kind of time to be stuck with the phone here? I mean, sometimes you would even like to put it on a speaker. That way you don't even have to have it on your phone. But as long as the conversation is not something that's inappropriate or something that you don't mind goes in around, or you're someplace where you can do so, like in your car alone, and it's not disturbing anybody else that's around you, it's probably a good idea. But these microwave waves get in your skin and cause a disruption in your skin. There's disruptions in your skin. If you go to get examined, if you have too much exposure to it, you may potentially have, or maybe potentially get skin cancer. And so if you increase this frequency or this electromagnetic waves, it's like being in a microwave a little longer. They've done tests and studies, and actually in this video that I was talking about, that they had people get close and exposed to this. One of the person they had to pull away from it because they started feeling some kind of way because they were close to this smart meter that was causing their body to respond, and they were having these issues. So it's something to consider. Another thing to consider with the 5G is they've done some studies with some rats, and it found that it had an impact on their eyes. It caused their eyes to get a condition, it's called opacity, which means that the eyes start to become opaque, which is the kind of the condition that starts before you start getting cataracts. And that came from these rats being exposed to these 5G frequencies. So although, again, you're getting faster internet speeds and everything's becoming faster and moving efficient, whatever the case may be, but because you have it close to your body, that frequency being close to your body can have an impact not only on your skin, but also on your eyes. And of course, I don't know about you, but I appreciate the vision that I have, that I'm able to see. And some of us have to wear corrective lenses to be able to see. Why do we want to go so far as to be exposed to frequencies that could potentially cause us to go blind? I don't know about you, but I think if I could stay with 4G, I'd rather stay with 4G to keep my eyesight than to go to 5G and go blind. Doesn't make sense. The other issue that they found, because again, this is increased frequency, that it could interfere with your heart. So those who are dealing with heart arrhythmias or may not have had heart arrhythmias, they get the stress that they will be created because of the exposure to these frequencies. It could cause your body to have heart arrhythmias. I fuss with people who sleep with the phone in the bed with them or close to them, because now you have these EMF waves that are you're being exposed to in a vulnerable state, like sleeping. And so I think it's a good idea to either try to keep the phone at least 3 to 4 feet away from you while you're sleeping. That way you don't get the exposure to these frequencies that can potentially cause you to get these illnesses that these frequencies can cause. Again, like we're talking about, the issues with the skin and issue with the eyes. And also probably with that, issues with the brain. Your immune system can become compromised. Most of the immune system is in your gut. But being exposed to these waves, again, they cause a disruption in this process. The peristaltic movement of your small intestines and how it's helping move things. Well, if it's not moving, things aren't moving in your body the way they're supposed to, then your immune system get compromised. Immune system get compromised, all kinds of things happen. Now you're susceptible to disease, you're susceptible to colds and illness and all these other things that can come where you have a compromised immune system. All because you wanted to have 5G. Think about that. And all the things I'm talking about are researchable. So my encouragement to you is to look these things up and find out what risks that you not only are currently maybe a part of, considering the smart meter, but also when your phone steps up from the 4G up to the 5G. Okay? You may have what's called cell growth rates may be compromised. When we eat certain foods and we get our proper rest, sometimes not even food, our body goes through a regenerative process to repair that as wrong. Most of the times it's happening when we sleep. Other times it's happening if we decide to abstain from food. But 5G can interfere with that process because it's causing cell degeneration. And with that cell degeneration, while you expose yourself to 5G and your body's trying to fight to repair it, and you're not getting the proper rest or whatever the case may be, it's a condition, I'm going to talk about that a little bit later, that you'll get from being exposed to this 5G, it's not going to be worth it. Because if you want to enjoy something, you want to be around to be able to do so. And you want to be able to do so with the comfort of having your health not being compromised, because you want to have this faster service and this higher technology, especially if it becomes popular, because you want to be like everyone else. My encouragement is consider the risks when you want to step up, because just because it's faster don't mean that it's good. It's like eating fast food. We know that that food is no good for us, but we eat it anyway. But we know that we should be eating food that we probably should be preparing at home, so we know what's in it. And because we know what's in it, we know we're putting it into our bodies, and our bodies have a better chance of using it effectively versus eating this fast food, which has all these GMOs and starches and sugars and all these other chemicals that are potentially getting us sick of diabetes and high blood pressure, which is getting us closer and closer to the grave. Okay? Effects on bacteria health. Some of us, when we think of bacteria, first thing we hear bacteria is bad, but all bacteria is not bad. A lot of times when we're using hand sanitizer, although we are cleaning off the bad bacteria from, of course, when we've had our hands exposed to things that are bad for us, like when we go to the bathroom, or if we touch something dirty, whatever the case may be. But there's also good bacteria that's good for your skin that sometimes can get killed from hand sanitizer as well. Now, when I tell you not use hand sanitizer, of course not. Use hand sanitizer. But at the same time, you need to find a way to get those healthy bacteria back on your skin. Inside our bodies, inside of our intestine, we have things like bad bacteria that we need to get rid of. But there's also good bacteria that we need to keep in there because it helps us break down the food that we have, so it helps us metabolize it, so that we can have a healthy gut system that we're supposed to have. Well, again, being exposed to these 5G network, or these frequencies that come from your body, again, essentially being microwaved, then you're killing bacteria and things that you may potentially need. And although, again, to get rid of bad bacteria is good, but there's some things that we're very useful, and you don't want to get rid of that. Now your body's being backed up, or your immune system being compromised. We don't want that to happen. Now, these are things that are regarding us as human beings, the things that happen to us. But what effect would this 5G have on things that are around us? Well, our plants will get diseases, I guess, called, particularly, what is it called? I saw it on here. Perioxidase. It's called perioxidase. And this condition causing the plant life to die. Well, if you understand anything about how the atmosphere works, we know that we inhale oxygen and exhale carbon dioxide. Our carbon dioxide is a waste product, and we use the oxygen. Whereas plants inhale carbon dioxide, they exhale oxygen. And so this whole need for us to be able to breathe oxygen and then breathe in the carbon dioxide, allowing us to cohabitate on this planet, we need to be able to both survive in order to exist on a planet which is the home for every living thing that we know of on the planet. Well, 5G will cause vegetation to start to perish. So if the vegetation starts to perish, we'll probably start choking because we don't have the level of oxygen we need, and then guess what? We will start to perish. So again, this prospect of 5G, probably not a good idea, and we probably need to think about what it is that is going to happen to us as a civilization with the prospect of having this 5G, because we want better internet service, or we want our systems to be faster at the risk of our health and the health of the planet. We're already dealing with global warming. Now we're going to add 5G to make a mockery of what it is, the damage that the global warming is doing to our planet, or climate change. Something to think about. We're also looking at areas and issues that happen with, the atmosphere depletion, as well as with fossil fuels. We just talked about that with the plants. They got to send these satellites out in space. So those fuels and things that's going into the atmosphere, it's adding to, what's happening to the atmosphere due to global warming. That can't be doing us any good. I think we need to really reconsider or talk to someone about, this 5G, not be concerned about their bank accounts, and be more about the life here on Earth, because this 5G is not going to help us live longer. It's actually going to shorten our lives because of the damage it's going to cause. There's also things that's going to be dangerous to the ecosystem. There are things that are going to happen with the birds that won't be able to have the ability to navigate because they use frequencies that exist in the atmosphere to go from place to place, and now the atmosphere being saturated with this huge amount of these microwaves disrupting this. These birds aren't going to know where to go. They're going to be crashing into things. They're going to be perishing, maybe even going to the verge of extinction. So the animals are going to be. How about even the insects, like say the bees? They also use things in the atmosphere. The queens use things in the atmosphere to know how to lay eggs. Well, if this frequency is disrupted and not as many eggs being laid, and the bees are dying, especially when they're going to do a mistake when the weather gets colder, these frequencies are going to kill them. And if you know anything about what the bees do, they pollinate the flowers that create the fruit and vegetables that we eat, that we really should be eating, so that we can live on the planet. So without them, all we have is this other manufactured, man-made stuff, because we can't get this pollinated, or they have to do it a different way, which of course they're going to charge you to do so. So now you have to pay more money, where we can leave this stuff alone and stop having things that's interfering with the process of the ecosystem and the way the planet operates, and have it where the bees can stay alive and do their job and do what we need to have done on the planet. I think it's not such a good idea to have these issues with this 5G. I mean, they're already using the things 5G in devices where they want to do crowd control. They have this stuff that's going to help with the 5G. They throw it into the crowds, and when they explode, it makes the skin of those that are in the crowd feel like it's burning. So if that's what they're using with the same type of stuff that they're creating, so that they can give you better or faster internet service, or better cell phone service, which they're going to charge you for anyway, and instead of phone, what do you think it's going to do to you? Think about that. So they have a lot of studies. Some of the studies are misleading because they really didn't have enough time to talk about it. But we know that cell phone service is something that's ever increasing. I mean, they're giving it to the youngest child that's able to even use a phone. And then if you have someone who's older that can use the phone, even just simple as making a phone call, because a lot of our people, let's be honest, aren't really using the phones for anything else other than making those phone calls. Others who have the ability and still on the right mind can do so, they're probably using it to manage things like their finances and paying their bills or things of that nature. But nevertheless, the need for cell service is constantly increasing. But do we really need to have faster cell phone service at the risk of our health? Is it really something that we need to think about? Now, one of the things I was thinking about is they have something, that a condition that is created by being exposed to these energies. And if you don't believe that your body can expose or can absorb or can sense or can get these energies inside of them, think about this for a second. Your heart, if it stops, they have to use something called a defibrillator, which creates a magnetic charge that they put on two parts of your body to send electricity to get your heart beat again. So that means that your heart must be using some type of electrical current to beat. And then if you think about your brain and how signals are sent from one nerve to the next, there's electrical charges that are jumping from one nerve to the next as they send signals in your brain for your brain to work. Now, if you don't believe that occurs, when I do my hand like this, it doesn't move on its own. It's because my brain sent the signal through my body, through my hands, and allow me to move whatever it is I need to move, so that I know that I have control, because the signal is sent electrical impulses from my brain all the way through my arm to be able to do this. And so because you have that level of frequency or level of electricity already surging through your body, these frequencies that are around you right now increasing. It's almost like you're standing in front of a microwave. You're seriously gonna be like this. You stand in the microwave with the microwave on. So that radiation that's coming from that microwave is literally going to be cooking you with this 5G. That is a real concern. And guess who's going to be paying for themselves to be microwaved? You. Why would you want to pay for that? Doesn't make sense. And right now, because no one told you, they put that meter on the side of your house that's already soliciting 5G energy. And if you're sleeping or give long exposure to it, and you may feel fine. You may not even know. In fact, in this video, it says, take your life back. It's take your power back. I'm sorry, not take your life. Take your power back. It's a gentleman that talks about a man that says, oh, his wife is having all these issues and all these problems. And the condition that these people are suffering from with the exposure to this 5G is called electromagnetic hypersensitivity. Electromagnetic hypersensitivity. So let me give you the signs and symptoms of what this electromagnetic hypersensitivity is. You'll get headache, you get fatigue, you not have energy, stress. And of course, stress is not only not good for the body, but of course, it puts a lot of pressure on your heart. Sleep disturbances, where you have, where you can't go to sleep. You don't have enough melatonin in your brain to be able to trigger the response to tell your body to rest. And then, of course, what naturally happens through the circadian rhythm, of course, something I also did a video on, and allow you to go to sleep. And then when, of course, the melatonin is reduced to allow you to wake up, well, if you don't have enough of it at all, you don't know to go to sleep. If you're going to go to sleep, your body can't regenerate. If your body doesn't regenerate, now you're susceptible to sickness. It's like a domino effect of things that are going to occur that you can get because your body has developed something called electromagnetic hypersensitivity. Okay? Another one is, I don't know if you've probably ever felt this before. Sometimes I feel this again. I was talking about when I put the cell phone in my pocket. Skin prickling. It feels like something is pricking your skin. And then times you'll feel like, what is that? Where'd that come from? It's from electromagnetic hypersensitivity. You're exposed to frequencies in your body that's caused your body to respond. And part of that is your body responding is that skin prickling. Burning sensations. Again, I told you they use it for crowd control. The same frequencies they put it, they use it for crowd control. It makes the body, these people's skin feel like it's burning. So, in a mob situation, so instead of them getting hurt or anybody having to do anything to them, they start to retreat because they need to try to find relief because their skin feels like it's burning from them using devices that have 5G frequency in them that's released to control crowds. They're using them right now. Rashes. A lot of times you think of rash, I was exposed to this person, or I was around this person touched me, and all of a sudden I got this rash. Not necessarily. You could also get a rash from these electromagnetic frequencies being exposed to your body, being absorbed in your skin, and you have this strange rash, don't know where it came from. But then if you, again, take a look and find out of your daily activity, either it could be at your job, where you work, you could be close to these type of frequencies. Like if you could look out your window or notice that there's cell towers or there's these antennas that they use for cell service close to where you are. Or at home, if you're sleeping next to that smart meter or being next to that smart meter for long periods of time, it's expected that you should be 3 to 5 feet away from it, because if you're there for a prolonged period of time, you start getting blood degeneration, which of course, when your blood degenerates, now you're not getting the oxygen-rich, nutrient-rich bloods to the parts of your body to be able to keep you alive. Now you're moving in a direction to start developing cancer. Something to think about. You may not have thought about it because they may not have told you, but it just came out and replaced it, sometimes without your consent. In fact, if you look at on this video, you're going to see that some people broke into people's houses to change their meter to these smart meters without their consent. And they told them that these people were lawful in being able to do so. Break into your house and change your meter without your consent. But this is the government that we live under. I guess it matters whether you are Republican or Democrat. Didn't state what the man's party affiliation was, but he's talking to this lady who just broke into his house that he recorded on his cell phone, and she's coming in to change his meter from the analog version to the smart meter. And that means that he's going to have 5G waves in his house, which potentially can cause him to get sick or die in order for him to have electric service in his house. You're going to get pain and ache in the muscles. I mean, sometimes you go to the gym and you work out, and like, oh. But if you haven't been working out, or if you haven't gone to the gym and you're just doing normal activities, things that wouldn't normally cause you any aches or pains, you can get it from electromagnetic hypersensitivity, being exposed to 5G network. So, something to think about. And of course, many other problems. One of them, again, when the woman was talking about her husband, no, her son, it was her son, being exposed, and she lost him as a result of him being in this one room in this building that in San Diego University, died because he got brain cancer, and it's because, and others who was also in that same building, in that same room, died as a result of it. I think it was like 11 people just being exposed to this. They were literally being microwaved from these frequencies from the cell tower that's outside this room. Something to think about. So, with all this information, hopefully you'll get an opportunity to do some research to find out what it is that can be done to reduce the exposure. I also read an article, I shared it on Instagram, an article about what happens when your home has been in an area where they've decided to put a cell tower. It reduces your property value. I was noticing my taxes have been reduced. I wonder why has it been reduced? Well, there's a civic center down the street from my house where right in the parking lot they put up a cell tower. And because of the distance, it only takes about 2-3 minutes for me to walk there to where the cell tower is located. Apparently, when they put that there, it reduced my property value. Think about it. So now I got reduced property value, and right now on 4G, they may have 5G on there already. I have no idea. But in order for you to know whether you're having these symptoms that you're dealing with, that may be from the exposure to these microwaves that are created from this 5G network, either you can look at some of the symptoms that I mentioned, or you can go to the doctor and be examined. And sometimes they might even know everything unless they do like in-depth tests on what it is that has going on with you. But it's something to consider. But I wish and pray that you take this video into heart and take and do what it is that you need to do with it. And understand that 5G is not a good idea to have, even though you think it may be good because it makes your internet service faster. This is Energized Coach, hoping that you enjoy this video. If you do, give it a thumbs up, subscribe. Hopefully I'll see you again in the next video, and then consider what it is you can do with 5G. Thank you very much. Peace.